everybody, welcome to another episode of Office Arcade. Today we're going to be assembling and reviewing this bad boy here, the new Midway Classic Arcade. Let's get into it.
Your soul is mine.
So let's dig into this review. This cabinet is, well, you know what, let's start by debunking some things. For starters, my wife and I both looked at this monitor and then did extreme viewing angles on the other monitors, and she couldn't see a discernible difference. And I don't know if it's just because of all the fear mongering in the community, but like maybe there's like a 3% difference, but it's mostly negligible. And unless I got a different monitor than Kong, this thing still looks great. Like I'm at a pretty extreme viewing angle right there and it looks fine. If you go out to the other cabinets too, you know, the KI cab or the, big blue cab, like at extreme viewing angles, they're going to look bad. Like they're not putting super expensive monitors in this thing, right? Like that looks awful. So first thing I want to debunk is the whole monitor fear. Like this thing looks totally fine to me, totally playable. And there is a little bit of light bleed on full black, just like all their other monitors. But, again, to me, like when the screen's illuminated and there's stuff on it, it looks great. I have no issue with it. The Marquee is actually probably the best Marquee they've put out. I think the only other one that's nicer is Street Fighter. The only complaint I have about it is when they do these more evenly backlit marquees, they're not as bright. So in the dark here, you can kind of see it illuminated. But when I have, the bright overhead lights on, you basically can't see it, kind of like Big Blue. But this is one of those nice inserts with the nicer LED strip. So it does look as good as Big Blue. Much better than something like KI or these, plastic enclosed marquees. The control panel is the nicest one they've put out. It is the, same old, In terms of components, the components they used are identical to the KI cab, which you guys know I still wasn't a huge fan of. So I already swapped in my Sanwa goodness for everything. They put the molded coin door on the front, which, you know, I love. If you watch my KI review, I think they're really cool. I didn't expect to like them, but I think it's a really nice touch. And the base is pretty simple, and the side art's really nice. Like, I actually like the side art on the base there. And then they have the dragon without Johnny Cage, which, you know, personally, I always thought the Johnny Cage art was kind of lame. So I was all about the dragon or Raiden from MK2. So I actually like this design, even though it's not fully authentic. So yeah, overall, I think that the concerns around the monitor were super overblown. Like, if that's something that's preventing you from buying this, I'd say ignore that stuff. Marquee is beautiful. The build quality on this thing is great. It's on par with the KI cab, which you guys know was my favorite cab previously from a build perspective, but I'd say that this one actually beats it. It's got the nice elevated height like KI. It's got a little bit of an incline like Big Blue. It's got the nicer Marquee like Big Blue. So I would argue that this thing is, in terms of build quality, the best build that Arcade1Up has done. Now, one other controversial opinion is, you know, that we were doing some Arcade1Up tournaments, if you're familiar with the Arcade1Up community, and the old lobby system on, you know, Big Blue or the Marvel cabs kind of were conducive to that, right? So with KI and with MK, they went with this new online system. And actually for KI, I like it a lot because I found that on Big Blue, I have a lot of trouble getting games. You know, I can jump into lobbies with like absolute beasts. There's not too many beginners or moderate players in there because people don't want to get washed, and the lobbies are generally kind of dead. Whereas on, you know, something like KI that has that random matchmaking system, if I want to jump on and play for 15 minutes, I'm going to catch a game with someone. I have no idea what their skill level is going to be, and that's kind of dope. So I actually kind of like this online matchmaking system. I do wish they could add something to allow for streaming from Arcade1Up hardware, but, you know, again, controversial opinion. If you want to play these games competitively, play on Fightcade. That is where a lot of these retro games are already competitively played. There are massive scenes for those retro games. Or if you want to play at in-person events, get, you know, real hardware, because people are still playing on the real hardware. I don't think that Arcade1Up is ever going to become the de facto emulation standard for these retro games. What really impresses me about this too, they've improved the Marquee. They've made the best control panel they've ever made. They've added these wood shims to, you know, make it taller. They've added this, you know, very nice molded coin door. So all that stuff comes at a cost, and then they managed to drop the price from, you know, $700 for that KI cab to $500 for the same MK cab, while also including online for all those games. So like, you know, I'm actually, and they switched to free shipping on top of that. So I'm actually super impressed. Like, I wonder, you know, how much they're eating into their margin to deliver this cab. So yeah, from a hardware perspective, this thing is freaking great. I'd say, you know, go for it. From an online perspective, the online play on KI and that lobby system, I personally like it. But I'm actually going to dive into some of the games now and see firsthand how this machine does on the gaming front. All right, so let's get a little gameplay here. Woo.
Sonya wins. Scorpion wins.
I mean, as you guys saw in that review, I think this cab's awesome. I think it's probably the best or second best cab Arcade1Up has put out. From a build perspective, I'd say it's the best. From a games and fun perspective and replayability, I'd say Big Blue's still the best. But now that the Capcom Fighting Game Collection has come out, I'm probably going to play my Big Blue a lot less and play those games on PC. So for all I know, the KI cab and the MK cab might get a lot more play for me. Again, the internet lobby system, I don't mind because it's usually easier for me to find matches, at least on the KI cab. So I'm curious to see how the MK cab's going to be. The monitor, as you saw, is not great, but all the other monitors on the Arcade1Ups are not great. Do I wish, the monitor was better? Sure. For the price point and for how much I think I'm going to play this thing, I think it does the job perfectly adequately. So again, from a build perspective, I'd say this is the best. If you're looking to have one arcade cabinet in your house, I'd say go for Big Blue. I think that one's going to get the most play, even more so than the Yoga Flame Edition. I don't think the game list on Yoga Flame Edition is as appealing as Big Blue. If you're a huge MK fan, this cab's awesome. And the game list on here is actually really impressive. If you watched my old MK Legacy review, in there I talked about how there's so much variety between, Gauntlet, Root Beer Tapper, Bubbles, the MK games. So this thing is a dope machine. I mean, if you're gonna get one cab, get Big Blue. If you're gonna get two cabs, I'd say get Big Blue and then this MK cab.